Mostly you have to keep watch on the strongest guys if they are
Mm.
going, you have to go. And also if someone who will work with you, then you go, depending upon the length of the race. If it's too early, it does not make much sense, and unless someone is very strong, that would hold it for the entire race. But it's usually, I think, the last 60 to 40% of the race that you should follow the moves. So the level of the guys over there, so like everybody was so strong, and the way
Mm.
they take corners, that was absolutely like I had to learn how to take corners, so they go so fast. So one of the races in, I think it was Kermes in Dienza, and the race route was through a
Mm.
field, and it was like succession of corners.
Mm.
And like I lost the
Mm.
wheels because it was succession of corners, so they were going so fast.
I am Venki, a working professional in IT as well as an amateur masters athlete and a coach for endurance sports. You are listening to the Working Athlete podcast. Here, I talk to working athletes from all walks of life and experts from various sports to provide you with inspiration, training tips, and lifestyle advice. If this is something that interests you, I have a small request from you. Please subscribe to the channel on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts from. You can also let me know what you like and what you would like to listen to more of by commenting in the comment section on YouTube. I promise to do my best to improve with each episode and bring you the best content that helps you and me get better each day. In this episode, I talk to Sudarshan Muralidhar Devardekar. Sudarshan codes for a living, likes technology, photography, rock climbing, and is a DIY geek who calls himself a nerd. He is also one of the strongest riders in the country who has been a Maharashtra state cycling champion for multiple years. He wins or podiums most of the races he enters and finished in top 10 at the national level many times. He aspires to one day medal at the national level and do well at the Asian Championships level. In this episode, this multi-talented but laconic guy shares a few insights into his cycling journey and what makes him the rider he is today, including sharing his training methods and racecraft. It was fun talking to a fellow introvert to draw out some really interesting insights. Hope you enjoy this conversation as much as I did. This episode is brought to you by The Bike Affair. If you are in search of a one stop destination that caters to all your cycling needs, our today's sponsor, The Bike Affair, is the perfect place to check out. I have known the founders of The Bike Affair, Krish and Gokul, personally for nearly 15 years now. In fact, my first century ride was with Krish back in 2008. They are both exceptional human beings and entrepreneurs that believe in providing exceptional service to their customers. And it shows. With over 14 years of experience, the Bike Affair has established itself as a trusted source offering honest advice and exceptional service. They are offering a special treat for the listeners of this podcast. You can enjoy a 10% discount on your first order by using the code BikeyVenki on their website. So if you are in Hyderabad, visit their store in Kondapur, or if you are anywhere else in India, shop online by using the link thebikeaffair.com. I will leave the link in the show notes. Now, enjoy the podcast. Welcome to the Working Athlete podcast.
Hi, Bike Venki. So good to hear from you, and thank you for the invite. It's an honor to be here. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for taking the time. Sudarshan, I've been following your journey for quite a few years from the wolf pack when it first started. I guess is when you guys started coming to BBCh races.
Right.
Is when I started following your journey, and it's been a you know s- uh, you've been a silent workhorse and
a silent person who showed up and showed the results without too much hopla. So lot many people are curious about what is it that you do, how you do, and all that, because you are not posting a ton on social media. I think you are almost silent on social media.
Yeah, right.
And
But I do like post everything on Strava except the gym stuff. Every ride is on
uh,
Strava.
I mean, I am curious as well, about you, how you go about your routine and everything, and curious to know about the journey. And a lot of people actually asked as well about getting you on the podcast. So it's nice to finally get to do this. And as I always keep saying, right, I use this opportunity to open up chat with like-minded people and have a good time.
Yeah.
So great. So as I always start on this podcast, right, how what was your relationship with sport growing up?
So growing up, I used to play Mardani Khel, so which is the Indian classical Mardani Khel. So I practiced that a lot. So I used to go to demonstration for that with the team and with our ustad, so with our teacher. So that was there, and then I used to play cricket for the school cricket team. Yeah, and I also liked
Hmm.
football very much, but I didn't play it like for school or anything. But I used to play around a lot of football.
And what was the Indian classical? What was that?
So the Mardani Khel, like the practice of what we say, the ancient weaponries. So which includes the latikati, talwar, danpatta. So the warcraft.
Wow. Right, but when and how did you get into cycling?
I would say so racing. I would say it is mostly because of Strava. Strava because
Mm.
I used to commute on bike. I used to commute on bike. I then
Mhm.
I was on Bike Zone forum because before I was racing, I was on Bike Zone forums, and I used to check on that what bikes to get and all. So then I eventually got a road bike, and then I was into rock climbing. So I did rock climb competitively. So represented. So I played at Western competitions. During my rides, I used to go hard for the commutes ride as well, and on so when I started using Strava, all the kms on my route where I was taking off all the kms on my ride. And so this got notice of people like Mahesh and PT in Pune. So like they sometime posted on my posted on my Strava activity like, are you riding a motorcycle? So how are you so fast? And then again on yeah, on one of the ride I had like 7 kms on a single ride, which was just a commute for me from home to rock climbing wall. And then Mahesh had a comment over there that then I was like, if you don't believe me, I can join you for a ride. And then it was decided that I would join Mahesh for the ride. So Mahesh and Arjun, so they were doing their VO2 max interval. So I was able to like hold the wheel, keep the wheel, and after that I started racing with the team. So and eventually I joined Pune Wolfpack. So the transition into racing was I think quite smooth for me because I was fan of cycling from the start. Like I had watched Armstrong race. I was a fan of Fabian Cancellara when he used to like ace the time trials, and then I was a big fan of Cadel Evans. Also, I was playing the game Pro Cycling Manager on computer, so which also like gave me idea about what exactly goes into cycling. So that transition was I think smooth because of that. uh, I had never thought that I would race myself, but with Pune Wolfpack I started racing. So more credits to like I think mainly Mahesh who got me into cycling.
Nice, nice, nice. So, but once you got, which year was this? So to set the
So this was
context.
around 2015 and 2016. Around 2015 was when I started racing.
Okay. Okay. So before we get into cycling, right? I want to spend maybe a couple of minutes on the rock climbing. You said you were participating competitively in rock climbing. What how was that? How did you get into that, and how far did you go with rock climbing?
Rock climbing, because it was also something that fascinated me, and when I visited Pune, and I saw that there is a rock climbing wall called Raja Shivaji climbing wall. I approached them, and after that, like I just went into it. So I think for 2 years, almost daily, I used to go for rock climbing. So we can say basically it's mostly climbing on plastic wall, real rock climbing, which you do on the rock, which I did some routes, but not a lot of them.
How was like competition there? Is it like the same district level, state level, zone level, and stuff like that?
Yeah, there is zonal level and there is national level.
Okay,
Yeah, so west
all
zone,
right.
north zone, east
So
zone,
you
south
you
zone,
took
and
part
then
in
we go to nationals. Yeah, I competed for
okay.
for the zonals. To be frank, I wasn't very good with them, because
Hmm.
at Raja Shivaji, the athletes over there are like really good, and some of them are like climbing since they were kids. There are like 2 3 guys who are now like all travel to Europe and participate in the competitions, in the climbing World Cups. So that's the level over there. So compared to that, I
Wow.
was like a very beginner, you can say.
Nice. Whatever passion, whatever you found interesting, you seem to have pursued that, which is a great thing. So when you were kind of discovered on Strava, like Vinjigard was found on Strava basically when he took a famous KOM, and people looked at him and said, who is this? And that's how he was actually uh, discovered. And maybe not at that level, but something similar is what
Yeah,
your
of
story
course
sounds
not.
like in Pune, right? Excellent. So once you got into racing, what year was this? You said I forgot.
I think 2016 when I started racing.
So 2016 you got into racing, and then what was the uh, initial progression like when you got into road cycling and started joining these guys and in group rides and races?
Yeah, even to my surprise, like when I started, I started with the podiums. So I think right off the bat, I was like I was doing podiums.
No, but what were these races like? Is it the
No,
Pune
I was mostly doing the
um,
local races.
local races or?
Yeah, the local races.
Hmm,
So at that time,
okay.
I think Siddharth had also started, and Mikey, our coach, Michael Lenig, so he used to also conduct races. So I think the
Hmm.
first race I did was a time trial, and like without much knowledge, and I was, I think, second there behind Rishabh. So I think that was a very very good result for a first race.
Nice. Rishabh Bhattarki.
Yeah, yeah,
Is that how you saw pronounce his name? Yeah, right.
yeah. Rishabh
Nice.
Bhattarki.
So, what was your training? Look like then versus now? What in terms of progression?
In terms of progression, I would like to point one thing. So this is something I always retrospect, because when I was commuting, I used to go like all out. So while going to office or while going to rock climbing wall, I used to do, I think I would say, on the field zone for effort, and while returning back, I used to empty my tank. So near the home, I used to like go all out. I think that must have helped me a bit. And talking about the change in training, I think initially training when I joined Pune Wolfpack, we were training with Michael, and that back then it was a lot of fun because Michael was so involved in the scene, and training what was with him was so great, because we used to have like a race almost alternate day. So used to of course, we used to practice a lot of crates. We used to sprint for the science, and we used to have a lot of skill drills, so picking up the bottles and burning of skill drills. So we used to have a lot of that, and so it was a lot of fun. And now I'm still like training with Michael right now, but right now it's just a plan that I follow. I would say it's a lot boring right now because it's just training. I mostly do it indoors, so training's a lot boring now.
Not a lot of group riding and training together. You mean you nowadays you tend to do more indoors? Is that true?
Yeah, a lot of them, a lot of the training is done
Yeah.
indoors.
Why is that? Is that more of a time constraint or what is that?
Yes, more of a time constraint because I also need to go to office in time, so I have limited time, and training indoors is then more efficient. Like I don't have to get ready, I just have the bike ready, hop on the bike, do the training that is very specific, um, so that is time efficient.
Definitely. What does your typical training week look like nowadays?
Nowadays, so I'm building for the year, so it's two gym sessions, and two intervals, and then two longer rides. So yeah, two gym sessions, two intervals, and two longer rides is what it typically looks like now.
And in terms of volume, how many hours per week does it look at tops?
So it is around 12 to 15 hours right now. 12 to 15 hours, but if I get holidays, I then tend to go do long endurance ride, and then I utilize that to add more volume.
Excellent. So, in terms of nutrition and hydration for during training and racing, what have been your learnings over the years, and what is how does it look like for you in terms of nutrition and hydration for training and racing?
Oh, in terms of nutrition, I think the most important factor was, I think, understanding the calorie consumption and understanding how much calorie your food contains. So before, I think, I used to like just have energy gel per hour, or some protein bar or energy bar per hour, have some electrolytes, like and just keep having it for an hour. But now that I understand how much would be my energy expenditure, so I can consume the carbs accordingly. So I think these days for racing I mostly consume liquid carbs. So I might not even like used to have like I don't even use gel most of the time. It's the liquid carbs that does it for me these days.
Okay,
Yeah,
carb drink
and
basically.
also the most of the races are not very long. So if the races are like more than 2 hours, then I think I will have carry some solid food as well. But if it's around 2 hour or less, I'll just have liquid carbs. Yeah.
Right. So, how many grams of carbs per hour do you typically do?
So usually it's like 70 grams of carbs per hour.
Right. And what is
Yeah.
your weight?
My weight is around 60, 61.
You're not very tall as well, no? Then
Yeah.
you are you are you look like a climbing package, but you ride more like an all rounder. You do time trialing well. You do road racing well, and I think climbing also. I guess right.
Yeah. You can say a
For a
bit
person
of a puncher.
for yeah for a for a person who is so I mean so light, I am kind of surprised with your time trialing ability. Like, how do you, when you look at a time trial, how do you pace a time trial?
So I think the time trials that we usually have are mostly flat. So for that, it's maintaining the same wattage throughout and trying to be as zero as possible. So I think that's as simple as it gets. Yeah, and talking of lighter
Mm.
guys, we have Sri
And
as well, like who does time trials. Uh, at like very good
right,
time trials, and he's
yeah.
like 55, 57.
That is, yeah, I know. Srinath Lakshmikant, he is also, nowadays, when he started, he really struggled yeah, on time trials, because I think mostly because he did not really focus on them.
Yeah,
But nowadays he's like really putting in the effort, spending the time on the time trial bike, and you can see it in the results also.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's good.
And we mostly have to be good at time trials, because the state selections, they are based on time trials. So unless you are good at time trials, you don't get selected. So you anyway have to be good at them.
Correct, correct. It is more out of necessity,
Right,
definitely,
yeah.
because of the selection criteria being purely on time trialing, right? Excellent. So when did you start working?
Working, I think in 2012, I started working. So I started racing much after like 3 4 years into when I was working. So then I started racing. So I have to cycling as a
Right.
sport.
Uh,
I am very late.
when how old were you when you started in 2016? You said, right? You started.
Yes, I think 26. No, no, must be, yeah, 24 to 25. Yes.
Let us stop the math. And how old are you now?
I'm 33 now.
Right. Excellent, excellent. So, you started working in 2012. What is the impact that cycling had on your work?
The amount of work and also the amount of work I put in my hobbies also, like it didn't change much, but I think I sleep a lot less than what athlete should. I sleep a lot less, so I think the work stays the same, and I also train.
Right. So talking of sleep, nowadays everyone is, stressing on the importance of sleep, right?
Right.
So what does your how many hours of sleep do you get? Do you
I
manage?
typically get 6 hours of sleep, so that I know is very less, and now I'm trying to improve on that. I'm trying to get more sleep, trying to get more earlier to bed. So I think these are the sleep is also like I think the most low hanging fruit for me, but it's also maybe quite hard to achieve because
Hmm.
of work as well.
Yeah, definitely. Something that studies show that it has the most beneficial effects, both in terms of health and athletic performance, because it helps the recovery so much. So, but yeah, I mean,
Yes.
we can have all the knowledge in the world about the benefits and stuff, but it comes down to being able to do that, right? With all the things
Yeah.
that we
Right.
end up doing, right? Yeah. So what are some of the things that you are thinking of implementing to improve your sleep time?
So sleep time, I think basically going more earlier to sleep. So in the evenings, usually I keep working on my hobbies. So I'm a bit of a techie, so I have a lot of side projects as well going on, and also some electronic projects. So that takes up time. So I need to be like have to set in my mind that yes, I need to go early to sleep.
Right. So, talking about work and side hustles in work, side hobbies in work, and also a kind of full time hobby of cycling. How do you manage holding a full time job and full time, almost full time training kind of scenario? How do you balance it?
Yeah, so job I think comes out of a necessity as well, and for cycling I think I think you have to be just disciplined that this is a workout, and you have to do it. So you have to be disciplined, I think.
It is about priorities, I would think, right? Because you
Right.
prioritize these, you might end up cutting a lot of other things out of your schedule.
Yeah, I'm not exactly a social animal,
What are
so
some right? Yeah, you are, I mean, we can tell that you are not going to a lot of parties or staying out late and all that, right? And
yeah.
most of us are like that, or end up being like that, with the kind of time we have to give for, like, so usually people tend to sleep in on weekends and stuff, and we tend to wake up even earlier than usual, to make sure that
Right.
we make that group ride, or all that. So excellent. So what are your most memorable race results so far?
I think the most important was the Ashok Khare race. This was I think mini Mumbai Pune race. So it started from
Mhm.
Mumbai and ended up after the Bhorghat, and this was like very early in when I started racing, and this was like state level race. So everyone from the top climbers were there, and I won that race. So I think that kind of made me realize that I can be good at racing. So which kind of which helped me like to race more.
uh,
Ashok Khare race. So it is kind of a mini Mumbai
mhm.
Pune race. It was tribute to Ashok Khare, who's the winner of Mumbai Pune. So it started from Mumbai, and then it finished at top of Vorghat, and it was very early in my like racing career, and I won that race. So so Bhorghat is like 7 kilometers at 7% gradient, and so from the base itself I think I started conservatively, so I would say attacks flying, but I kept my pace, and eventually I kept catching everyone, and I got a bit lucky that the person who was running first had a puncture. So and but I won that race, and this was I think important because it then made me believe that I can race at very good level. So that was I think that was an important race for me. And if you see other important races, then I kind of like always remember the BBC races that I've done. I always remember all the national races. So and they are always very special, and I remember them so fondly.
How many times did you go to Belgium?
So I was in Belgium for a month. I was in Netherlands for 2 months, and then I raced in Belgium for around a time of 1 month.
Okay, so when was this?
This was last year, July.
Okay, so what was the experience like, riding and racing there in the mecca of cycling?
Yeah. So the level of the guys over there. So like everybody was so strong, and the way
Hmm.
they take corners. So that was absolutely like
Hmm.
I had to learn how to take corners. So they go so fast. So one of the races in I think it was Kermes in Dienza, and it the race route was through a
Hmm.
field, and it was like succession of corners,
Hmm.
and like I lost the
Hmm.
wheels because it was succession of corners, so they were going so fast.
That my experience riding there and racing in Denmark was very similar. At least you had the level, fitness. I was nowhere close to fitness, and also skill wise I was like really pathetic. So when taking the corners there, I used to lose wheels, but I did not have the power to cover up the gap again, right?
Come back.
So it was done one or two corners, I was out. So it is so great to see the way they, the ease with which they take the corners, the speed at which they take the corners. It is mind blowing. So
Yeah,
those courses, right, those countryside courses that they ride in, narrow, windy, and all that, it is not just about the power, but the bike handling, the ease with which you can actually ride like you are one with the bike.
yeah, true.
How so did you kind of spend time improving the cornering and stuff like that? How was what were your takeaways
No, I
from
think
racing there?
I did not spend time in cornering as such, but I think as I raced, I kind of like learned how to take corners with them. So you kind of get better with
Hmm.
as you race.
Doing more and more of those, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
When we're talking about memorable races, right, what are some more memorable races that that come to mind?
I think as I said that the national races and the BBCh they are always like memorable for me. So I remember the first BBCh race that I did. So I think I was in the break with I think it was Aman, Gagan, Shri, Murli at that time. But then I crashed out with Shri at that race. And after that, the next BBC I did, I was also in the break. So it was NJ, KKR, Gagan, Naveen Raj, and I think Dipankar. So that race was very hard, and I think that year KKR was so strong. So when we were working together, I think for me the NGS pools were kind of easier to follow, but when KKR was as what the front, I was like so much suffering. Like he was going so strong that year. But eventually KKR and
Hmm.
NJ went away, and then Gagan um, and Naveen Raj also went away. Then it was me and Sri who finished after them.
Yeah, I remember that race. It was the race on the Hyderabad highway, I think, where you guys went into a break, and then at the end, KKR and NJ were, duking out for the sprint.
Yeah.
It was quite a race. What else? What more races come to mind?
I think last year's national games Goa was also nice. So in the break it was me, Surya, Shri, and Paramaram from Rajasthan. So it was just four of us, but we were like able to hold the peloton. So including the services, NJ for most of the time. And then on the second last lap
Hmm.
Harshvir bridged alone, so he bridged alone. And so Harsh was also so strong, and I kind of lost the wheel on the downhill. So Harshvir went at the front and drilled down, and I was just
Right.
like I was like just done doing my turn, and when he went hard on downhill I lost the wheel. So I was basically then out. But it was good to see that breakaway stuck. So Sri stayed away. Surya unfortunately had a crash, but yes, she managed podium. So it was good to see that the breakaway worked. Like not fully, but it was good to see that.
Yeah, I remember. I think it ended up being Harshvir and Srinath to the line, one and
Yeah.
two. Uh,
Yes.
yeah, these are really solid efforts from you, and definitely when you end up putting the effort and they work or almost work, they become very satisfying and very memorable, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. So in a national games Gujarat was there. So, there also I was in the break. So it was break of 7, and I kind of laid out the sprint, but I was dead last. So I finished 7th there.
No, there is a uh, kind of trend. You're always kind of making the breaks. How do you read a race and make sure you are making the uh, winning break, so to speak? How do you
Yeah,
determine which one to follow?
of course, it is mostly you have to keep watch on the strongest guys. So if they are
Mm,
going, you have to go. And also, if someone who will work with you, then you go, because you will be working with them together.
mm,
So I think those are the most two things that I would look at.
the strongest guys and the guys who can work with you. And in terms of
Yeah.
when to go, or when to follow, is there a strategy there when in the race, and or
uh, Yeah,
the
so
race
you
situation?
of course yeah, depending upon the length of the race, if it's too early, does not make much sense, and unless someone is very strong that would hold it for the entire race. But it's usually, I think, the
Mm.
last 60 to 40% of the race that you should follow the moves or make the moves.
That is going to be very useful, for people who are always confused about which moves to follow, because we always have only a few matches to burn, right? So if you are following
Right.
moves too early, and moves that are made by people who are not going to be consequential to the business end of things, you are only burning yourself. You have to make sure that you are following the right guys, and also at the right time. That
Yep.
is
Yeah.
very important strategically. And the you have won at the state championships quite a few times, right?
Yes. Yes.
How many times?
Yeah, so three times, and then we also had Maharashtra mini Olympics, which I won. So and all of them were time trials.
So what was your first nationals experience like? What do you remember from them?
Yeah, first nationals was in Kurukshetra for me, and so I think Manjit won that year. So um, I was racing at back of the peloton, and then the first group went, and it was gone. So so I was at the back, and it was like harsh crosswinds, and then me and Omkar were there. So me and Omkar from Maharashtra. So we worked together, and then we, I think, finished in top 20, I think. And after that, I
Mm.
also did a crate race that year. So crit was also fun. It was since it was a very crosswindy course, and all the services guys were there, like the big guys. So I was struggling, and then there Sri was also there. So I think Sri and I had dropped, and both of us worked together to catch a group. So that was fun, and also was we both were suffering.
And what was your best result at nationals?
So I think in national games, Gujarat, I was seventh, and last year's national championships in the time trial I was eighth, uh, and and I think the 7 8 nationals that I have done, like I have been in top 10. So multiple times in the time trial, and multiple
Mm.
times in the road race as well, and this year in
Right.
crit as well.
Especially impressive in the time trials, I talked about, because these fields are quite stacked at the nationals. There will be time trial specialists from all the states, and various teams like railways, air force, and all these guys, right? To be
Yeah.
consistently in top 10 in those races is actually quite impressive. Yeah.
Yeah, but I would point out that the
Hmm.
first 5 6 are like a bit level above, because guys like NJ guys, and guys
Hmm.
who are doing podiums. Joel is now doing excellent in time trials, and then it's like 2 minute gap, and then the rest of the field. So I'm not quite with the top
Hmm.
five, I would say.
Yeah, right. There is always you usually before last year, or last couple of years, there is NJ, and then there is like a minute or 2 minute gap, and then
Right.
there are rest of the people. I mean, when uh, uh, when Arvind Panwar was there, he was quite close to NJ for quite a few years. Uh,
Yeah.
Before, like maybe 3 years back or so, that times kind of gaps kept increasing. But now we can again see that there are other guys like Joel, and I think even Manjit is doing very
Yes.
well in
Manjeet,
time trials.
Dinesh,
Uh,
and Vishwajit and Harshvir as well.
Dinesh, oh yeah, yeah. So these newer guys who are coming into the scene like really strong, and the times are getting closer. There is still like whenever when NJ is in top shape, is still there is a minute or so, but yeah, they're getting closer. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like you said, there is always the top two three will be like and the rest of the field will have a minute and off, and at least a couple of minutes kind of gap, and
Yeah.
then everything else will kind of be super tight with a few seconds, right,
Yeah.
between
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
rest of the guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Excellent.
talking about time trials, this year I was happy with the course at the National Games Goa, and which kind of suited climbers. So Sri and Chinmay were able to get on the podium, so they did very well there.
Definitely, that those are the kind of courses that those are the only kind of courses that actually give them the chance, the skinnier time
Right.
trialists.
Yeah.
The flatter course, it suits always the boys with the bigger quads and bigger numbers, right?
Yeah.
So what are your future goals and aspirations that you have?
So like the current goals would be like getting medal at the nationals. So I'll be happy with that. Yeah, and then trying
Mm.
for the Asian Championships.
Excellent. I mean, that would be fantastic if something like that can be pulled off with while doing while holding a full time job and doing all kinds of tech projects and all that. Right? It is going to be quite a feat. Already, you have been inspiration for a lot of working athletes, but that would be something. Yeah, all the very best for that.
Yeah,
So,
thank you.
what are a few tips you found useful that you could share with student athletes and working athletes who aspire to do well at their work and sports?
I think it is a discipline. So we have if we have to pursue
Hmm.
something like doing good at studies or work, and also doing good at any sport, discipline should be there, because we have limited amount of time, and we should be very careful about how we are spending that. So discipline is the
Hmm.
most important thing.
That is a very good point, because motivation can only take you so far, and if you are disciplined, motivation or not, you will do well, right?
Yes, you have to do
So
it.
so I mean, this has been a super fun conversation, Sudarshan. uh, you know all the very best for your future goals and aspirations. Keep rocking, and thank you for taking the time and sharing your experience with the Working Athlete podcast.
Thank you so much, Venki, and it's my pleasure, and it's an honor for me. Thank you so much.
That was my conversation with Sudarshan. Hope you enjoyed that. If you are enjoying these podcasts and are finding them useful, please consider supporting the podcast by subscribing to it on YouTube as well as on your favorite podcasting app. It really helps. Thanks again for your continuous support. See you next week with another guest.